Welcome to the According to Weeze podcast with me, your host, Louisa Duran, more affectionately known as Weeze. I believe that liberation requires of us the ability to imagine, to reimagine what is into what could be. It requires us to think outside of what is currently possible, to become architects of possibility. So in each episode, we'll candidly examine and explore everything from pop culture to current events and hot topics through this lens. So get cozy, get comfy, and let's dive in. What up, what up, what up? We are back with a new and improved, a new and different and evolved. We're back with the ATW podcast. According to Weeze, the podcast is officially back. So this episode's going to be short and sweet. I'm going to try to get right to the point, tell you the important things. So bear with me. Stick around. For those who have been following via social media or maybe the Substack, you know that there have been a lot of changes. There have been personal changes. There have been professional changes. But what it has all kind of boiled down to and come down to is this really big question for me, which is, how do I want to be engaging in liberatory work? How do I want to shift and or reclaim and or spend my energy? Where am I most useful? And what do I think not only is like my gift or my skill set, but also what lights me up? What fills me up? What do I enjoy doing? Because I think a lot of times we get stuck in this narrative of like, oh, this is what I have done, or this is what I have been doing. This is what people expect of me. And so if I abandon it or if I shift that, people aren't going to understand. People aren't going to follow me. They're just not going to be down for the shift. Change is hard for people. Frankly, I don't believe that. I think that people that rock with you are going to rock with you. I also think that it is perfectly normal and frankly expected for us to continue to evolve as people. And as we evolve, especially if we're living in a liberatory, framework, if we've built a life that allows for us to actually reflect and live in our liberatory ethos, then that means that as we evolve, then the things that we do are going to evolve. Our life is going to evolve. The things that we like or don't like, right? The things that we're willing to participate in are going to evolve. I don't know how many of you checked the Substack at the beginning of the year. My word for this year was conserve, or is rather conserve. We're still here. And really that simply meant that in my evolution, I realized that some of the shifts that needed to be made were because I'm such a, heart-centered service person that I was just overextending myself sometimes to things or people that frankly didn't deserve it. Those people are no longer with me, or those projects, I've stepped away from. But really, it just came down to me taking a good hard look at myself and saying, I preach and talk about and teach and guide and coach liberation all day long. And one of the biggest premises that I coach or that I teach, and obviously it's part of liberation ethos since forever, is that rest and joy and peace are all revolutionary and all one fundamental aspects of humanity, but they're fundamental aspects of liberation. And I found myself realizing that I was not resting. I didn't even have energy to have enough spaciousness to experience ease or peace or joy, because I was just too tired to go do things or spend time with, the people that I care about. And I knew that for myself for 2024, that needed to change. I needed to actually start to walk the talk that I talk. And inevitably, one of the things that shifted, in addition to making sure that everyone that I was around, that I was working with, that I was pouring into was also completely values aligned, was that I am basically kind of sort of low-key retiring. I've talked about this before, but I'll quickly mention it here. ATW, the consulting element, is evolving. It is totally shifting because I want to spend my time and energy One, podcasting. I love it. I love this type of format. I love being able to have more spaciousness. I love being able to bring really dope guests on and have these, explorations or these candid conversations, or just kind of like bring other people's work to the forefront. More importantly, as many know, the socials are no longer the place where you can kind of like do the long format education or have those kinds of conversations, just because they're getting shadow banned and or you just don't see it. But that being said, I realized like this is where I want to be doing the thing, right? I'm not really interested in doing the lives on IG or any of those things anymore. Why fight a platform that was never intended for the message that you have? Is actually antithetical to the message that you have or the work that you're trying to do, right? So here we are. That's one shift. The next shift is I'm going to be really focusing on the Asafa Collective, the foundation. More on that later. But I started a foundation and I want to run it and I want to work with the kids. So that's where that energy is going to be. I'll just plug it right now too, because the Asafa Collective actually is going to partially be in partnership with ATW. If you want to volunteer, come volunteer with us. If you happen to have, liquid assets to donate, come donate. It is 100% a tax write-off. So holla at me for more on that, or just go to asafacollective.com. But yeah, that's where I want to be spending my energy. To me right now, community care and, collective care and liberation is not just making sure that liberatory messages and conversations and the liberatory lens is being applied to what we're talking about in the like larger zeitgeist, but it's really, for me right now, it's about that next generation. I'm constantly blown away by how with it these kids are, and even though they are with it, it doesn't mean that they have any of the support that they actually need. In fact, they don't. Whether they, regardless of the family that they come from, regardless of their socioeconomic level, the reality is that our world is getting more and more difficult to just live a simple, happy, stable life, success as you define it. Things are just less and less accessible, and people need support. People need support. So I'm looking at the next generation because they are literally going to run our country, if we have one left. Again, conversation for another time. But that's where I'm going. So all of that being said, I am so excited to be back. I'm so happy to be back with y'all. We're going to do some fun new things with the formats. The next couple months are going to be us kind of playing around with, what do y'all like? What do I like? What do we think is fun? What do we think works? What do we think doesn't work? Because there are no rules. Or maybe there are and I just don't care. I don't know. Not interested in debating it. That's my fundamental belief system, is how do we rewrite things? Even if there are rules, like, let's rewrite them, right? We reimagine, because what's happening right now isn't working, and who says we can't? So we're going to rewrite some things. We're going to do some things differently. There's going to be solo episodes. There's going to be guest episodes. And most importantly, we're going to be covering all sorts of things. If I'd already been recording, we probably would have done a little how Kendrick bodied Drake and the internet's reaction, and how Rolling Stones decided to write a low-key, like, anti-Black critique of people engaging in the entertainment factor of that rap battle, right? Like, we're going to talk about everything from that. We could potentially even go into, Reggie Bush getting his Heisman back and his treatment versus Johnny Manziel, all the way to presidential candidates, all the way to relationships and attachment theory, all the way back to free Palestine. We're going to be all over the place. And the reason for that is that every single sector of our society needs to be liberated. And frankly, I'm bored and tired of having the same conversation over and over and over and over again. And so instead, at this point, I feel like if you're new here, cool, welcome. Tons of resources to catch up on vernacular and frameworks. You can find that in the collective. You can subscribe as low as I think it's $5. But we're just going to start having actual conversations and actual social explorations. And there's going to be actual social critique on various topics just through a liberatory lens, because liberation is not this foreign ethos framework that exists out here that is really inaccessible. Everything that we do can be done through a liberatory lens. Every conversation that we have can be had through a liberatory lens. And so that's what we're going to start doing. And I hope you enjoy it, because I'm excited. That might be all I have. I lied. Patreon. I'm going to say this. Listen, maybe I need to get closer to the mic. If you have supported me in any endeavor, any other podcast I've ever had, whatever, you know that I'm not good at this part. So I'm just going to say the thing. The more that y'all support me, the more space that I have to create. Support specifically looks like signing up for Patreon. There are 2 levels. One level has 3 separate price points to make it as accessible as possible for everybody. You just get all the same things. So that's, calls with me and the community to talk about episodes and Kiki's behind the scenes content, Patreon only content. And that's going to continue to evolve as I have more and more energy and space. That also means you're going to get more frequent episodes. If the maths, we can do an episode every week. Hell, I could do 5 a month. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But the point is, this is very much a labor of love. And while I will continue doing this for all the reasons forever because it brings me joy, Patreon support is deeply appreciated, and it lends itself to me being able to do more. So please go find me there and support me. The link will be obviously in the show notes. Other than that, rate, review, subscribe. Writing a written review is super appreciated. Share this podcast, share different episodes with all the people, whoever it is that you might think is interested. Follow me on Instagram at According to Weeze is now the official Instagram for the podcast. The human Weeze is, I now have a private account just for me, and it has done wonders for me psychologically. We'll just say that. You are welcome to follow me there if you are interested in being connected to me as a human, as a person. And I think that's it. Like I said, I'm going to keep this as short as possible. Again, our little call to actions are, right? Our support is check out the Asafa Collective, get involved with that project however you can. I will deeply appreciate it. The next generation will deeply appreciate it. Subscribe on the Patreon, rate, review, subscribe to the podcast, follow me on Instagram, find me on Substack if you want. There's probably going to be some written content, all sorts of things there. And if you want to get deep into the learning, the final, your final hurrah before I fully retire is the collective, which is monthly. It's like Patreon style education. Embodying Liberation is my final mastermind. You get access to everything I've ever created. And then I have a few one-on-one spots left. So if you ever wanted to work with me, 2024, that's it. Well, Embodying Liberation ends in 2025, but it's fine. Anyways, all links are in the show notes. And if you have any questions about any of the things, as always, you can DM me or you can email me. All right, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the episode. It would mean the world to me if you could show me some love by sharing the show, rating, and leaving a review. And if you want to dig just a little bit deeper into community, join me over on Patreon. Subscribe to the Substack for more Weezeisms, or you can find me on the socials at According to Weeze. All right, y'all. That's all I got. Until next time.